The flash of blue light faded as the UES Defiant dropped out of hyperspace. Captain Hannah Park sat straight in her command chair, brown eyes focused on the main viewscreen. What she saw made her breath catch. "Battle stations," she ordered calmly, though her heart raced. The crew responded immediately, moving with practiced efficiency. The viewscreen showed destruction on a scale no human had witnessed before. Two alien fleets clashed in the darkness of space, energy weapons cutting brilliant paths through the void. The smaller fleet was clearly losing, their ships breaking apart under heavy fire as they attempted to defend a blue-green planet below. "Lieutenant Kim, what are we looking at?" Hannah asked. Jun Kim studied his scanner, fingers moving rapidly over the controls. "The defending fleet appears to belong to a species calling themselves the Ilari. The attackers are the Krell Dominion, according to intercepted communications." "Any human ships in the area?" "No, Captain. We're the first to reach the sector." Hannah nodded. The Defiant was a deep space exploration vessel, equipped with the latest technology Earth had to offer. Its mission was to seek out new civilizations, establish peaceful contact, and explore the unknown. Getting caught in an alien war was definitely not in the mission parameters. "We're receiving a distress signal," announced Communications Officer Su Yun. "It's coming from the planet." On speakers, Hannah ordered. A melodic voice filled the bridge, speaking in a language none of them understood. But the desperation was unmistakable. "Translation software is working on it," Su Yun said, adjusting controls. After a moment, the alien words began to form into something they could understand. "Any peaceful species who can hear us. The Krell have broken through our outer defenses. They seek to harvest our world and our people. Our fleet cannot hold much longer. Please, if anyone can hear this message." The transmission cut off abruptly. The signal source was just destroyed, Su Yun reported quietly. Commander Tae Lee stepped closer to the captain's chair. "Protocol is clear, Captain. We should retreat to a safe distance, report this to Earth Command, and await instructions." Hannah didn't respond immediately. She watched as a civilian transport tried to flee the planet, only to be pursued by 3 Krell fighters. The transport's engines flared desperately. "How long would it take for a message to reach Earth?" she asked. "At least 7 days, Captain," Commander Lee replied. "And how long before Earth could send help?" Lee hesitated. "Weeks, at minimum. Possibly months." Hannah nodded slowly. "By which time this battle will be long over." The bridge fell silent as another Ilari ship exploded on screen. The Krell ships moved with ruthless efficiency, targeting escape vessels and defensive platforms alike. "Tactical assessment?" Hannah asked. Weapons Officer Jean Ho checked his readings. "The Krell outnumber the Ilari 4-1. The defending fleet is almost gone. The planet has some orbital defenses, but they're failing." Hannah's fingers tapped the arm of her command chair. Every instinct told her to help, but the rules were designed to prevent exactly this type of intervention. Humanity was still new to interstellar travel. They didn't understand the politics or history of this region. "Captain," called Engineer Dae Sung from his station. "I've been scanning both fleets. Their technology is different from ours. Their shields appear vulnerable to our quantum systems." That caught Hannah's attention. The Defiant's experimental quantum displacement drive was primarily for faster-than-light travel, but its fundamental principles involved manipulating spacetime in ways other species might not have discovered. "Stealth systems operational?" she asked. "Yes, Captain," confirmed Lieutenant Kim. "We can observe without being detected." Hannah made her decision. "Take us closer." "Full stealth mode. I want detailed scans of both fleets and that planet." The Defiant moved silently toward the battle, its advanced cloaking technology hiding it from sensors. As they approached, the brutality of the assault became clearer. The Krell ships were systematically targeting civilian centers on the planet after breaking through defense lines. "Intercepted Krell communications suggest this isn't their first conquest," reported Su Yun, her voice tight. they refer to the Ilari as resources to be processed. On screen, the civilian transport they'd been watching earlier was caught in a tractor beam. Its engines flared helplessly as it was pulled toward a massive Krell harvester ship. "Life signs on that transport?" Hannah asked quietly. Lieutenant Kim checked his scanner. 217. Many register as children, Captain. Hannah's hands gripped her chair tightly. Protocol said not to interfere. Earth Command would want them to retreat and report. It was the safe choice. The responsible choice. But as she watched the transport being dragged to its doom, Captain Hannah Park knew there was only one choice she could live with. "Disengage stealth systems," she ordered. "Put us between that transport and the Krell harvester." Commander Lee stared at her. "Captain, that's a direct violation of." "Noted, Commander." Hannah's voice was steel. "Now carry out my orders." The UES Defiant, lone human ship at the edge of known space, dropped its cloak and moved into the heart of an alien war. The Defiant shimmered into view between the Krell harvester and the captured Ilari transport. For a brief moment, all weapons in the nearby battle space ceased firing. The unexpected appearance of an unknown vessel stunned both sides. Captain Hannah Park stood from her chair, eyes fixed on the massive Krell ship ahead of them. It was at least 20 times larger than the Defiant, covered in sharp angles and weapon ports. "Broadcast on all frequencies," she ordered Communications Officer Su Yun. "Channel open, Captain." Hannah squared her shoulders. "This is Captain Hannah Park of the United Earthship Defiant. Release that transport vessel immediately." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. They were facing an alien armada with a single ship. The Defiant was advanced, but not designed for combat against a warfleet. The viewscreen flickered, and a Krell commander appeared. Its scaled face and multiple yellow eyes were unsettling. The creature spoke, its voice translated through the ship's systems. "Unknown vessel. Your design is not in our database. Move aside or be destroyed. These resources belong to the Krell Dominion." "Those resources are children," Hannah replied coldly. "We won't move." The Krell commander made a sound like grinding metal. "Then you will die with them." The transmission cut off. "Captain, they're charging weapons," Lieutenant Kim reported, tension evident in his voice. Commander Lee stepped forward. "Captain, we need to retreat. We can't fight an entire fleet." Hannah didn't respond immediately. Instead, she turned to Chief Engineer Dae Sung. "You mentioned our quantum systems might affect their shields. Explain." Dae Sung moved quickly to the main tactical display. "Our quantum displacement drive works by folding spacetime to allow faster-than-light travel. But the initial field generation creates a ripple effect that disrupts certain energy patterns. Based on my scans, Krell shield technology uses exactly the type of energy matrix that would be vulnerable. Could we use the drive offensively?" Hannah asked. Dae Sung's eyes widened. "In theory, yes. If we initiate the quantum field but contain it before full displacement, we could project the disruptive effect outward. But it's never been tested that way. It could damage our own systems." "Incoming fire!" Jean Ho shouted. The Defiant rocked as Krell energy beams struck their shields. "Shields at 72%, reported Kim. Hannah made her decision. "Engineer Sung, modify the quantum drive for offensive use. Commander Lee, keep our shields up until the modifications are ready. Lieutenant Kim, find us the optimal position to protect that transport." As the crew rushed to carry out her orders, Hannah opened a channel to the transport. "Ilari vessel, this is the UES Defiant. We're going to get you out of that tractor beam. Prepare to engage your engines the moment you're free." A surprised voice responded, melodic despite the fear. "Human vessel, we are grateful, but how can one ship stand against the Krell?" "Trust me," Hannah replied simply. The Defiant moved into position, taking more hits as it placed itself directly in the tractor beam's path. The shields sparked and flickered under the assault. Shields at 41%, Kim announced. We can't take much more of this. In engineering, Dae-sung worked feverishly, rerouting systems and modifying the quantum drive's containment protocols. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he made the final adjustments. Captain, modifications complete, he reported. But I must warn you, this is completely untested. It could disable the Krell ships, or it could disable us. Understood. Target the Harvester's ship. We just need to disrupt that tractor beam. Shields at 23%, Kim warned. Commander Lee looked at Hannah. Captain, if this doesn't work. It will, Hannah said firmly. Dae-sung finished the targeting calculations. Ready, Captain. The Krell harvester loomed over them, pulling the transport closer by the second. More Krell ships were turning their attention to the Defiant, moving to eliminate this unexpected threat. Now, engineer. Hannah ordered. Dae-sung activated the modified quantum drive. The ship hummed with power as the quantum field began to form. Instead of enveloping the Defiant for displacement, the field expanded outward in a controlled wave. Where it touched Krell ships, their shields flickered and died. The tractor beam holding the transport vanished. Most surprisingly, several Krell weapon systems simply stopped functioning, as if the very space they occupied had been temporarily rewoven. It worked! Soo-yun exclaimed. Transport is free, Kim confirmed. The bridge crew watched in amazement as the massive Krell harvester drifted powerless. Other Krell ships nearby showed similar effects, their systems disrupted by the quantum wave. Hannah opened a channel to the transport. Ilari vessel, get clear now. We don't know how long they'll be disabled. The transport's engines flared to life, and it raced away from the harvester. Throughout the battlefield, both Krell and Ilari ships paused their fighting to observe what had just happened. A single unknown vessel had neutralized multiple Krell ships without firing a conventional weapon. Captain, Soo-yun reported, were receiving transmissions from the Ilari fleet. Their admiral wishes to speak with you. On screen, Hannah ordered. An Ilari appeared, humanoid but with luminescent skin and large, expressive eyes. The alien bowed deeply. I am Admiral Naren of the Ilari Defense Force. I do not know what miracle you just performed, but you have saved many lives today. Who are you, and why have you helped us? Hannah stepped forward. I am Captain Hannah Park of Earth. And we helped because it was the right thing to do. Admiral Naren's luminescent face showed both wonder and concern. Captain Park of Earth, your intervention is appreciated, but the Krell will not stay disabled for long. Their fleet numbers in the hundreds. You must retreat while you can. As if confirming his words, the lights on the Krell harvester began to flicker back to life. The quantum disruption was temporary. We can't outrun their entire fleet, Commander Lee said quietly to Hannah. Hannah nodded. And we can't abandon the Ilari now. She turned to Engineer Dae-sung. Can we use the quantum system again? Dae-sung checked his readouts. Yes, but the drive needs time to recharge. 10 minutes minimum. We don't have 10 minutes, Jin-ho reported. Krell ships are powering back up. They're all targeting us now. Hannah made a quick decision. Admiral Naren, can you get your remaining ships to form a defensive position around your planet? Focus on evacuating as many civilians as possible. The Ilari Admiral nodded. We will try. But what about you? We'll keep the Krell occupied, Hannah replied. Just be ready when I give the signal. The transmission ended, and Hannah turned to her crew. Lieutenant Kim, plot an evasive course through the heart of the Krell fleet. Jin-ho, ready conventional weapons. We can't use the quantum drive yet, but we can make them chase us. The Defiant shot forward, its engines pushing to maximum as it weaved between the massive Krell warships. The human vessel was smaller and more agile, using its speed to stay just ahead of the enemy's weapons. They're taking the bait, Kim reported. Krell vessels are breaking off their attack on the planet to pursue us. On the viewscreen, Hannah watched as nearly half the Krell fleet turned to chase the Defiant. It was exactly what she'd hoped for, but also terrifying. One small ship against dozens of alien warships. Quantum drive status, she asked. 7 minutes to recharge, Dae-sung replied, his fingers flying over his console. But Captain, I've been analyzing their ships. The quantum disruption affected their propulsion and weapons systems most severely. If we could modify the next burst to target those specifically. Do it, Hannah ordered. The Defiant shuddered as a Krell energy beam grazed their shields. Shields at 18%, Kim warned. Another hit rocked the ship. A console exploded in sparks, and crewmember Parkman fell to the floor. Medical Officer Ji-sun rushed to her side. Direct hit to our port section, Commander Lee reported. We can't take another one like that. Hannah gripped her chair as the ship evaded another barrage. Engineer Sung, we need that drive now. For minutes, Captain, he replied, his voice strained. I'm trying to bypass the safety protocols, but... A massive impact cut him off. The lights on the bridge flickered, and several systems went offline. We've lost engines 2 and 3, Kim shouted. Shields at 5%. On the viewscreen, the Krell ships were closing in, forming a sphere around the Defiant. There was no escape. A transmission came through. The Krell commander appeared again, its yellow eyes gleaming. Your tactics are interesting, human, but futile. Surrender your vessel and its technology, and we may spare your lives. Hannah stood tall despite the smoke filling the bridge. We don't surrender to those who prey on the innocent. The Krell commander made that grinding sound again, perhaps its version of laughter. Then die with your principles. As the transmission ended, Hannah turned to Dae-sung. Options? The engineer looked up, his face streaked with sweat and grime. The quantum drive isn't fully recharged, but I've modified the output. If we channel all remaining power, including life support, we might create a large enough disruption to disable their weapons. For how long? Maybe 30 seconds. Hannah nodded. Do it. Captain, Commander Lee protested, that's barely enough time to. It's enough time for the Ilari to strike back, Hannah interrupted. She opened a channel to Admiral Naren. Admiral, prepare your remaining forces. When the Krell weapons go offline, hit them with everything you have. The Ilari's voice came through, determined despite the static. We are ready, Captain Park. All power to the quantum drive, Hannah ordered. The lights dimmed across the bridge as energy was diverted. Fire when ready. Dae-sung took a deep breath and activated the system. This time, the quantum pulse was different. Instead of a smooth wave, it pulsed outward in focused bands, targeting the specific energy signatures of Krell weapon systems. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Across the enemy fleet, weapon ports went dark. Targeting systems failed. Now, Admiral. Hannah shouted into the calm. From behind the planet's moon, the remaining Ilari ships appeared, having hidden there at Hannah's earlier suggestion. They flew straight at the disoriented Krell fleet, their weapons blazing. The Defiant drifted powerless in space as the battle raged around them. Emergency lights cast a red glow over the bridge crew's faces as they watched the Ilari strike with precision at the temporarily vulnerable Krell ships. Life support failing, Kim reported. 5 minutes of oxygen remaining. Hannah nodded calmly. Send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. And tell them we found both terrible danger and new friends among the stars. Just as the oxygen levels began to drop dangerously low, the main view screen showed an Ilari vessel approaching. A tractor beam gently captured the Defiant. Admiral Naren's voice came through the speakers. Hold on, brave humans. You've given us a fighting chance. Now let us save you. The crew of the Defiant watched as their small ship was pulled towards safety, while around them, the tide of battle had unmistakably turned. The bright medical bay of the Ilari command ship was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Captain Hannah Park sat up slowly on the floating platform that served as a bed. The glowing blue energy field that had been healing her injuries faded away. Easy, Captain, said Ji-sun, the Defiant's medical officer who stood nearby. The Ilari technology worked quickly, but you should still rest.
Admiral Narration entered the chamber, his luminescent skin pulsing with gentle blue patterns. 2 other Ilari followed him, their movements graceful and silent. Captain Park, Narration bowed deeply. Your crew is safe. Our engineers are repairing your ship as we speak. Hannah nodded gratefully. Thank you, Admiral. What happened after we lost power? Narration's expression shifted to something resembling a smile. When your quantum pulse disabled the Krell weapons, we seized our opportunity. Their fleet has retreated to the outer system. For now, our people are safe. One of the other Ilari stepped forward. Her skin had a purple tint, and she wore intricate symbols on her robes. I am Lyra, Chief Communicator of the Ilari Council, she said. Captain, are you aware of what your arrival has done? Not just for us, but across this entire sector? Hannah looked confused. We only arrived yesterday. Lyra activated a floating display in the center of the room. It showed a map of the surrounding star systems, with countless points of light pulsing between them. These are communication signals, Lyra explained. News of what happened here has spread at quantum speeds through the subspace network. A single ship facing down the Krell Dominion and disabling their weapons with technology no one has seen before. The display zoomed out further, showing the signal spreading to hundreds of star systems. The Krell have subjugated 12 species across this region, Admiral Narration added. For decades, they've seemed unstoppable. Until you arrived. Commander Lee had entered the medical bay and heard the explanation. We didn't come here to fight a war, he said cautiously. We're explorers. Yet you chose to protect those who needed help, Lyra replied. That message is spreading too. Engineer Dae Sung joined them, his face showing both exhaustion and excitement. Admiral, your engineers showed me your ship's technical specifications. Our technologies evolved along completely different paths. Yes, Narration agreed. Your quantum displacement system works on principles we never discovered. Our scientists are quite eager to speak with you. Before Hannah could respond, Lieutenant Kim rushed into the medical bay. Captain. The Krell fleet is moving again. But they're not attacking. They've sent a transmission. Requesting to speak with you personally. The room fell silent. The Ilari looked at each other in shock. The Krell do not negotiate, Lyra whispered. Ever. Hannah stood carefully. Let's find out what they want. In the Ilari command center, the massive viewscreen displayed the Krell commander. Up close, the alien looked even more intimidating. Multiple yellow eyes blinked independently across its armored face. Captain Park of Earth, the Krell said, its translated voice rumbling. Your interference has cost us resources and time. But your technology interests us. Hannah stood straight despite her lingering pain. What do you want? Information, the Krell replied. No species we have encountered possesses technology like yours. It does not match any known development pattern. That's because humans developed in isolation, Hannah said. We're new to interstellar travel. The Krell commander's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No primitive species could develop such advanced quantum manipulation without guidance. Dae Sung stepped forward. Yet we did. Humans took a different approach to spatial mechanics. We focused on folding space rather than pushing through it. The Krell was silent for a moment. Then it made an unexpected announcement. The Krell Dominion proposes an exchange. Technical data for safe passage. We will withdraw from this system permanently. Every Ilari in the command center gasped. Admiral Narration turned to Hannah. They've never retreated from a chosen harvest target. Not once in recorded history. Hannah looked thoughtful. And if we refuse this exchange? The Krell commander's face didn't change expression. Then we will return with our entire armada. One ship, no matter how advanced, cannot stand against thousands. After the transmission ended, Hannah gathered her crew and the Ilari leaders. "It's a trick," Commander Lee insisted. "They want our technology to use against others." "Perhaps," Hannah agreed. "But they're also afraid. They don't understand how our systems work, and that scares them." Lyra's skin pulsed with rapid colors. "Captain, word continues to spread. 3 systems previously controlled by the Krell are reporting uprisings. The subject species are fighting back, inspired by what happened here." Su Yun, who had been monitoring communications, added, "and were receiving messages from 17 different species, all requesting contact with Earth." Hannah walked to the window, looking out at the stars and the damaged Defiant being repaired in the Ilari shipyard. "We came to explore and make peaceful contact," she said quietly. "Instead, we've accidentally changed the power balance of this entire region." Admiral Narration joined her at the window. "Sometimes the greatest changes come from the smallest actions, Captain Park. Your decision to protect one transport has created ripples that will transform countless lives." Hannah nodded slowly, understanding the weight of what had happened. "The question now is what we do next." "The Krell will return," Narration said. "Whether you share your technology or not." "Then we better be ready," Hannah replied, watching as ships from neighboring systems began arriving to join the Ilari fleet. The stars themselves seemed to be aligning in response to humanity's unexpected arrival. 3 days passed aboard the Ilari command station. Captain Hannah Park stood before a table surrounded by representatives from 7 different alien species who had arrived after hearing about the battle. The holographic display between them showed the repaired UES Defiant alongside 20 Ilari ships and various vessels from the allied species. "The Krell fleet is returning," announced Lieutenant Kim, studying the long-range scanner readings. "Our estimates were correct. They've brought their entire armada." The alien representatives murmured nervously. A holographic display updated to show the approaching Krell force, over 2,000 warships moving in perfect formation. "They mean to make an example of us," said Taro, the spiny ambassador from the Ventari system. "To show what happens to those who resist." Hannah studied the display calmly. "Then we'll make our own example." Over the past 3 days, Engineer Dae Sung had worked tirelessly with scientists from all the allied species. Together, they had modified the quantum displacement technology to work with the other ship's systems. "The modifications are complete on all 23 allied vessels," Dae Sung reported. "But they're not as powerful as the Defiance system. Each ship will only affect a small area around it." "It's enough," Hannah replied. "We don't need to defeat their entire fleet. We just need to show them they can no longer win easily." Admiral Narration entered the command center, his skin glowing brightly with determination. "Captain Park, the combined fleet is ready. All ship captains await your orders." Hannah nodded. "Let's take our positions." The Defiant led the small allied fleet out from the Ilari homeworld. They formed a defensive line between the planet and the approaching Krell armada. To anyone watching, it must have looked hopeless, 23 ships against thousands. The main view screen activated, showing the Krell Supreme Commander. Unlike the previous commander, this one wore elaborate armor and had red markings around its many eyes. "This is your final opportunity to surrender," the Krell announced. "Give us your quantum technology and your lives will be spared. Resist, and we will destroy not only your ships but every living thing on the planet below." Hannah stood tall on her bridge, the crew of the Defiant at their stations around her. "We have a counteroffer. Leave this sector permanently. The Ilari and all other free peoples will no longer be subject to your harvests." The Krell commander made that grinding noise, definitely laughter. "You have courage, human. But courage alone cannot stand against our might." "We don't stand alone," Hannah replied simply, ending the transmission. Commander Lee moved to her side. "They're powering weapons. All ships in attack formation." "Wait for them to get closer," Hannah instructed. "The quantum effect is strongest at short range." The Krell ships advanced, their front line preparing to fire. Tension filled the Defiance bridge as everyone watched the distance closing. 5,000 kilometers, reported Lieutenant Kim. 4,000, 3,000. All Allied ships, Hannah broadcast, prepare quantum systems. The Krell front line opened fire.
Energy beams crossed space toward the Allied fleet.
Now! Hannah ordered.
Across all 23 ships, the modified quantum displacement systems activated simultaneously. Instead of creating individual disruption fields, the combined effect was multiplicative. A massive wave of spatial distortion spread outward, growing stronger as it moved. When it reached the Krell fleet, the effect was spectacular. Hundreds of ships in the front lines lost power instantly. Their weapons died mid-firing sequence. Propulsion systems failed. Communication networks collapsed. But the wave didn't stop there. It continued spreading, growing in strength as it encountered more and more Krell technology. The effect had never been tested on such a scale.
Captain! Dae-sung called out in surprise. The quantum wave is creating a cascade effect through their fleet. Their systems are all linked on the same frequency.
On the view screen, they watched as ship after ship lost power across the entire Krell armada. What should have been impossible, disabling thousands of warships with a single action, was happening before their eyes. For a moment, everyone on the bridge held their breath. Then Lieutenant Kim broke the silence. "We're receiving transmissions from all over the Krell fleet," he reported in amazement. "Multiple species, they're slave crews. They're revolting against the Krell commanders." Hannah hadn't expected this. The quantum disruption had disabled not just weapons and engines, but also the control systems the Krell used to manage their enslaved crews.
Admiral Naren's voice came through the comm system. "Captain Park, this is beyond anything we imagined. The enslaved species are taking control of the Krell ships." Within hours, the situation had transformed completely. The once mighty Krell armada was in chaos.
Nearly half the fleet was now under the control of former slaves who had seized the opportunity to rebel. The remaining Krell ships were retreating, unable to maintain formation with their systems failing. 3 weeks later, Captain Hannah Park stood in a vast hall on the Ilari homeworld. Representatives from 26 species filled the chamber, many of them recently freed from Krell control. At the center was a document, the founding charter of the new interstellar alliance. As Hannah stepped forward to sign on behalf of Earth, she reflected on how one decision, one moment of choosing to help rather than observe, had changed the course of history for this entire region of space. "The legend of one human ship may have inspired this alliance," she said to the assembled representatives, "but it will take all our combined wisdom to build a lasting peace. Today, we stand together not as saviors and saved, but as equals with a shared future among the stars." The chamber erupted in cheers as Captain Hannah Park, once just an explorer from a distant planet called Earth, became the first signatory of the new galactic order.